Hello and welcome back to the Everything Canada Soccer Podcast, episode 17, with a sick host Jordy and Felipe as always. How you doing, Felipe?
I'm doing good, man. A bit better than you, let's say, physically.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit. But anyway, we're gonna talk about an exciting match from last weekend. No, not last weekend. This weekend, wasn't it? The MLS Cup final. I
Yep.
can't. Being sick, I've just lost every sort of time thing going on in my brain. I can't even put words together. But anyway, we're going to talk about what an exciting game this was. I sadly wasn't able to watch it because I was sick. I was just lying in bed, completely forgot about it. But I was able to watch the long highlights that the MLS put up or whatever, and it just, wow, I'm so sad. I missed watching it. Were you able to watch it?
I only watched the second half, and I'm glad because I got to watch all the action that was needed to quite understand how the game was. It was really, really cool. I thought that, in terms of atmosphere, it's I think maybe last year when New York won had a similar atmosphere, but this one was really cool to see the fans going crazy, and LAFC's first title, new team in the league. Christian Bale scoring a header in the 8 minutes. We're talking about 8 minutes into extra time, bro.
Yeah.
He's scoring a header, and he is a big face of the league right now, right? Which is really important.
Right.
The league had a lot of European players trying to boost, the brand and etc. And some of them were not successful. And we had Wayne Rooney just coming for a small season. We had Ibrahimovic, which was kind of let's say, I don't know, but it wasn't a good experience in my opinion. But now Bale, it was short, and it was also I don't think it was great for LA Galaxy. It wasn't the same experience they had with David Beckham, for example, in terms of exposure and championships and overall performance. But Bale proved himself. That goal was amazing. The going to penalty was pretty cool. So exciting game, man. The downside, I'll let you take the downside, but I know you didn't watch it, but it's a sad thing that we had to see.
Oh man, I know. Just watching the highlights, I forget who it was, center back on LAFC. I forget who his name was. Played a terrible back pass to Maxime in net. And there's been a lot of criticism going to Maxime for leaving Vancouver Whitecaps and going to a different team. But honestly, it's obviously paid off. But for this back pass, Maxime had to go and out of his box to try and get it. The attacker got there first. Maxime Crépeau followed through. However, doing so, as their legs collided, Maxime Crépeau's leg kind of snapped a little bit. Sorry for the gross sort of description, but it did not look good on television. They showed it just a little bit at the beginning, and it just, geez, man. As soon as I saw that challenge, I'm like, he's missing the World Cup because his leg was detached essentially.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty nasty play to see. You don't want to see in any sport.
No.
But I think that him being a goalie, he has a high chance of coming back and being successful in his career and playing the next World Cup as a second goalie, as a first goalie. We don't know. I don't think Milan Borjan's going to be there for the next World Cup.
Probably not. No.
He's still a big candidate to be a starter, especially if he has he was really important for LAFC this season. I think he started 35 or 36 games for them.
Something like that, yeah.
Pretty consistent. That's what he did, right? He wanted to leave the Whitecaps to play all the way near the World Cup, to be more on let's say, a winning team.
Yeah.
And I think he was able to be successful in that. So we wish him all the best, but I know he has a much higher chance, for example, than a striker. We've seen a lot of injuries there like that for some players, let's say he's a left winger that runs, it's a really pacey player. An injury like that, it is a deal breaker because sometimes you have to change the style you play, right? For Crépeau, that's not the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things as no athlete. That's the first thing that comes to your head. It's how well can the player go back, right?
Yeah,
But
It's tough because he's just entering like the prime of his career. I mean, 28 years old for a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers tend to age like fine wine, so it's easy to see that he has
yeah.
plenty of years ahead of him, of course. But it sucks that he'll be missing a World Cup during like the start of his peak. In 4 years' time, either him or Dane St. Clair will be our number one at that time. Maxime will be 32. Dane St. Clair, I think, will be around 23, 24. So both will have decent experience. In terms of appearances this season,
Okay.
Maxime had 33 appearances
Okay.
for LAFC in the league with only 36 goals conceded. So that means, sorry, he only got scored on once, just over one time every game, which I think is quite good for this sport. It's not like elite levels goalkeeping like your Courtois or your elite European club levels. However, it's still very good. I
MLS
mean,
is much more competitive. Like you can't like for
mm-hmm,
example, let's take Neuer and Bayern Munich, right? Like I mean,
mm,
Bayern Munich dominates the league, so it's a much
yeah,
higher chance for Neuer to have clean sheets when they play with a
yeah,
complete team
yeah,
than Crepo LAFC playing against, let's say, New England or something
yeah,
like that. I feel like the league is much more leveraged in
mm-hmm, yeah,
MLS than we see in European leagues, right? So
yeah. But
that stat
unfortunately
doesn't
for,
represent.
sorry, sorry,
No,
sorry,
I was
say that
just saying
again.
that stats doesn't represent how good the performance was
Yeah.
itself. So
Yeah, no, of course. But unfortunately for Maxime, he'll be missing the World Cup due to his injury. And that leads us to an interesting question. Who's going to take his place at the World Cup? Who is the fourth string keeper that we think is going to take his place? And our money at the moment is on James Pantemis on Montreal. I think
yeah,
he's the only real candidate.
I don't know. We could see a surprise. This last call up that he included mainly North American players playing North America. Uh, I that was the goalie together with Grepo and St. Clair, right? St. Clair we already knew was gonna be kind of the third goalie, so now he's probably gonna take that replacement goalie spot. Which, just to add on that, I think that's a bit scary to a standpoint that he's really like not experienced with Canada national team. Like he does have experience in MLS, let's be honest, but if you compare the amount of caps by Milan Borjan and St. Clair, I think how many caps St. Clair has? Less than five. I guarantee you that.
I think so. I can double check that actually right now.
So that's in my opinion, we really rely on Milan right now
Yeah,
because
Dane Sinclair has one cap. Sorry to interrupt.
there we go, bro. Like I mean, it is rough. Like he only played one goal. You can imagine he has to play Croatia or something like that. It's like it is going
Yeah,
to be a lot of responsibility on a player that never had that on national team. Not saying that he cannot handle. He has the potential,
yeah.
the talent to do it, but that would be my main concern only. And Pantemis third option. I don't see. Do you see any other goalie being kind of like a?
No, not unless you're digging into the Canadian Premier League, I think. And that's a little uncharted territory just because the competition is lower than MLS. Not by crazy stretches, because CPL clubs do compete with the Canadian MLS teams. But, I mean, if you're asking a Carducci or a Tristan Henry or Irving or Sirwa to jump up like levels above what they're comfortable with, I'm not sure that's going to happen. So I do think that Pantemis will get it, even though he's got zero caps as well. He has as much experience as a Canadian Premier League goalkeeper. However, he does have that MLS experience, and that's better than the CPL experience, as sad as that is to say.
That is a player that has Canadian caps. I'm even checking right now how many caps he has for Canada, which I think it could be valid to have. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think he's playing at a top notch level, but uh, how many caps? Let me see. He has three caps with Canada national team, and he played for Switzerland national team growing up.
Mm.
Leutwiller, like he plays for
Oh,
Oldham Athletic in
really?
England, like England third division.
He
So
wasn't
he
called up for the Bayern.
no, he hasn't been
Um,
like I think his first cap was
yeah,
2016, and he hasn't been called in like
interesting.
3 or 4 years. But he's 33, 34, so he might be the experience that
Could.
sometimes you like because like that Milan is it's experienced. Both of the players, Pantemis or Sinclair, if they come in, they're quite young, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't think it's an issue. I'm just saying that goalies you tend to bring the most experienced ones career wise.
Ooh.
So
I made a mistake. For some reason I thought Dane St. Clair was like 20 right now. He's actually 25. My
Oh,
bad. So
he's gonna be 28,
yeah,
29.
so Pantemis and St. Clair will be both 29 by the next World Cup, and Maxime Crepeau will be at the tender age of 32. So that's interesting. I totally thought Dane St. Clair was younger. That's apologies for that misinformation. But
No, it's
he just
fine.
looks
Like,
young. I don't know. He just looks really young. So I just always thought that. But he's had a great season as well. And I think I was reading something a couple months ago, and it said that it was about statistics comparing Maxime Crepeau and Dane St. Clair, and their statistics per game was actually almost identical. So I don't think there was gonna be anything wrong with playing either of them. However, having Borjan at this World Cup to play it all and be that experience, and have Pantemis and Dane St. Clair in the background soaking up the experience, knowing what it's like to be a goalkeeper at a World Cup,
it's great.
not playing any games. I think it's great for the next World Cup.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe some other player comes out of left field during that time and challenges both of them, which I would hope is the case because that just makes them better. But next World Cup, I think we're in even better shape than this one, to be fair. And
I mean,
I'm not looking forward to the next World Cup because obviously there's still this World Cup to still be excited about. But Canada's in good hands.
and I think that those goalies, one of them will eventually make to Europe. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen that with other goalies. Goalies sometimes they have a kickstart in their career a bit
Mm-hmm.
later than a traditional
Yeah.
player. Sometimes they'll start being a starter at 24, 25, 26, but they'll play until like 38, 39, 40.
Yeah.
We see even more than that. So, perfect example I think would be like Tim Howard, like from United States, one of the most
Yeah. Right.
best goalies I've seen from the past 20 years in World Cups, national teams. Really consistent, tall guy, good with his foot. He played MLS, man, and then eventually he went, I think, Everton or Fulham,
Yeah. Everton. Yep.
teams in UK.
It's
Um,
very good.
yeah, absolutely. But I don't remember if he left at a young age, but he played at a older age in Europe.
When he
So
was younger, he played at Manchester United, and
cool.
then I think he played a couple games and was just not good enough. I think the magnitude of Man United got to him, and so eventually went and made his way to Everton, where he had a
Yeah,
very good
because I
career for
remember
himself
him
there.
from like the Metro Stars, like the old
Yeah.
school MLS teams. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, you're right. He had that stunt in Menu. But my point is just like goalies, sometimes you have that, and he ended up playing high level in Europe out to his studies, right? So
Yeah.
maybe we'll see one of those two young Canadians in not in UK, but maybe on the leagues in Europe. So bright
Yeah.
future.
No, I hope they can make their way to Europe because that's where they're gonna really get better. That's where they're gonna really show that they're improving. I mean, we're looking at Jonathan David right now for an example. He's being linked with Arsenal, Tottenham, United, Liverpool. Like he's in all these names. He's being linked with all these clubs, and he for a while, like 2 years ago, he was linked, and then kind of disappeared, and then he started getting back on the horse, sort of, so to speak, and now he's back in limelight. So I think Jonathan David as well needs a move, but it just shows how much, like even when he went from Ghent to Lille, he got so much better and he got so much more exposure. So I think our keepers need to start following in those footsteps now.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's the MLS Cup. That's our goalie keeper situation. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe, follow for more, and we'll see you guys in the next one.